We want to clean in the paint. We're going to call hand checking and body checking, and sportsmanship is an absolute must. Okay.
He lets it fly. Oh, I can't believe it.
Welcome back to the Two Shots in the Ball podcast. I am your co-host, Mike McAndrews, along with my brother, Jim McAndrews. Welcome to...
What's up, Mike?
Hello, Jim. Welcome to episode 17. How have you been? It's been a little over a week or so since we first, or our last guest.
Yeah, all good, all good. Busy time, as you know, with sports are starting to ramp up. Fall and winter coming around.
Yeah, so...
But I'm excited to talk to our next guest.
Yeah,
so.
same. We were fortunate enough, our family, to spend last weekend in South Bend for a Notre Dame game day experience. So that'll tie right in, hopefully, to our guest today. It was an awesome experience for me and my wife and the kids. So we are looking forward to talking to this week's guest. Without further ado, let's introduce the guest for episode 17. This week's guest is a former Division I player who is now coaching in the state of Michigan. In high school at Saginaw Buena Vista, he led his team to the 2006 state championship, which was his second in 3 years. He was named Class C Player of the Year twice and finished his high school career with an astounding 2,518 career points, which is third most in state history. He committed to play at the University of Notre Dame, where he served as a 4-year point guard, leading the Irish to a 93-43 record while scoring 1,231 points. He led the Big East in assists 3 times and departed at number 2 in Notre Dame history for both his 694 career assists and his 211 career steals. As a senior, he earned Big East Sportsmanship Award, as well as being named to the Big East All-Tournament team. He returned to Michigan, where he began his coaching career at his alma mater, Buena Vista, for 1 season before the school closed. He's had head coaching jobs at John Glenn High School, Grand Blanc High School, where he led the Bobcats to the 2023 Division I Final Four. In May of 2023, he was named head coach at Detroit Catholic Central, and he will enter his 3rd season this year at the helm for the Shamrocks. We are excited to be joined by Catholic Central head coach and Notre Dame legend, Tory Jackson. Coach, thanks for joining us, man.
Thank you.
Nice intro, man. I appreciate you guys for having me, man.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for having me, Jim and Mike, man. Thank you guys.
So, take us through your basketball journey, Tory,
Yeah.
from your playing days in high school to your college playing days at Notre Dame, and then your coaching journey up to today, the head coach at Catholic Central.
So, high school wise, man, I could go on for a long time if we go talk about high school, man.
Well, that's what we know.
So I'll tell you this. So I was telling Jim, I said, Jim, I don't know if you remember this, Jim, when we were first got on. Oh, I've been coaching at Cardinal Mooney since '98. Jim was my high school coach at Cardinal Mooney, so we've seen a lot of basketball.
Yeah.
And in 2006, was that your senior year?
Yep.
So Jim and I are big Notre Dame fans, as you know. And in 2006, your Buena Vista team came local to us and played at Anchor Bay High School against Bishop Foley in a quarterfinal, I believe.
Yep.
And Jim and I were at that game and watched you completely take over in the second half. So we walked out of there going, yeah, Notre Dame's got a good point guard for 4 years. So I remember watching you in high school. Very impressive.
Man, it's such a blessing, man. As you're going through those moments, honestly, man, I just had a great time. I remember coming into my freshman year, going to Buena Vista, it was a rich history of basketball, a small school, but a rich history, man. People, just in the early 90s, they had went on like a year or 2 years without losing a game. Terrence Roberson was a stud.
Terrence Roberson could play. Yeah. That was my era. I graduated in '93, so I remember the Terrence Roberson era. Like that dude could play.
And that team was insane, and they were blowing everybody out. They had won back-to-back state titles. Before then, Mark Macon and those guys. My brother, in the late 80s, there was a shot by Charlie Cole or Chris Cole, maybe Chris Cole, the son. Hits the half court buzzer beater, or 3/4 court buzzer beater against Flynn Beecher in the championship. So, just thinking about all the like history at BV when I was coming up, honestly, it was just playing for that school, growing up in that neighborhood, all my brothers going there. I had 3 sisters and 10 brothers. All of them went, and played basketball. I'm the 13 to 14 kids.
Wow.
So my mom and dad, they were Buena Vista forever. People in the
Right.
neighborhood. Yeah, people in the neighborhood know, like my mom was like the neighborhood mom. She took no mess. She raised us in church. We went to church four times a week, twice on Sundays. Yeah, so twice on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Fridays. So I had no other choice but to kind of like just go to church and go to BV games. And when I really got into it, I want to say middle school, 7th, 8th grade middle school, I think they started to recognize like that I had a decent game. So they started to be a little bit more lenient on I could go play basketball a little bit more throughout the week, and they started to see it kind of pay off. And going into my freshman year, a lot of guys didn't really start or play basketball their freshman year on the varsity team at Buena Vista, but I was blessed. I was blessed to kind of get an opportunity. I remember going into my freshman year and going into our first scrimmage, and we go out into like the Detroit area, I believe, to scrimmage. And we left. By the time we left that scrimmage, I think our varsity head coach had kind of like, he probably
Made
knew
his
he was
decision.
such a
Yeah.
yeah, he was trying to like still play let's we still gonna start this older guy and still kind of play
Still trying to keep his seniors engaged.
Yeah.
yeah. But I think he kind of left knowing that he had something, special in myself. And before we played that first game, I want to say it was Carleton High School. The very first game, I get that call that I was going to be the starter in that game, and I never looked back. I remember going into that freshman game, having about 14, 15 points against a really good player named Matt Jarumba, who was the point guard at Carleton High School at the time. And the rest was history, man. High school kind of took care of itself. Freshman year, I started averaging, I want to say I finished the year averaging about 15 points. But we lost in the district championship. And we had a really good team. The team we lost to, I think, was Reese High School.
Mm-hmm.
And I could just remember being like super upset about everything, like losing. I hated losing anyway, hated losing in the neighborhood, hated losing on the court. So it was just like, one thing about basketball, the competitive nature that I had growing up. Funny, man, I had to like really kind of go through my brothers and play through all of my family members before I really knew that I can like actually play basketball. I think the last person I was able to beat in my family was one of my older sisters, Kim, who was like a basketball stud. She was getting recruited by Tennessee at the time.
Wow.
And she just, by the time I got to her and played her and I finally beat her, I'm like, yeah, I'm
ready.
good. Yeah. I'm good. So going into my freshman year, we had some success on the court, but we didn't win it. I just remember that summer after freshman year, man, I was like, I'm not losing anymore. We're going to win a state championship, and spent a lot of time working on my game, working on my individual game. It was always church. It was always school. And then it was I was in the gym. So I sacrificed a lot of time in high school, like to hang with my friends a lot. I grew up with my friends. I didn't spend a lot of time like having like 4th of July's, during AAU time. Everybody, the friends, summertime, anything out of school, that's when you see a lot of kids kind of hang out. But my summer was spent in the gym. My off season, everything was spent in the gym. And I played football in high school too. So I ran track. So I was kind of busy. I kept myself busy, but I always found time to get in that gym. And that sophomore year, I saw myself kind of started to take a leap and became a good leader for that role, for that team. And we actually had some decent guys on that year, and we ended up making a crazy run. And my points per game went from like 15 points per game to like 25 points per game. And then
you guys won it that year. You guys won it that year, Tory, right?
Yeah. Yep. We ended up winning it that year against
that was pre-huddle. They didn't have a scout or anything.
No.
15 to 25. You didn't see this coming?
Yeah. No, nobody
Who's
was
tracking
able
the
to scout.
stats?
Back then you had to go to the game, use the VCR.
Yeah.
Big VCR tape.
A bag with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it was a little different back then, but having that luxury of just having, a bunch of guys I can kind of reach out to, having a bunch of the older guys, Terrence Roberson and those guys to come back and play against. I remember a guy named Puncho, Alden Sanders, who's coaching at Bridgeport High School right now. Just having those guys to come back and play against. And then I had a lot of guys in our neighborhood that was really good in high schools. A guy named Montel Green, a guy named Randolph Simmons, Donovan Robinson, and then my brothers. I spent a lot of time playing against those guys in the neighborhood, and they were all good. Montel Green was an All-American on the field in high school and on the court as well. But BV was just such a small school that a lot of people didn't really know too much about it, or look into it or thought too much about it. So, but those guys kind of helped, mold my game. My brothers and then my neighborhood, they kind of helped mold my game. And that points per game, like I said, jumped up. We ended up winning the state title against Charlevoix. And then my last 2 years, man, once I saw that, I became addicted to the grind. My last 2 years, I averaged 30, and
Yeah,
we
that's
ended
when
up
you kind of
winning.
exploded on the scene there.
Yeah,
That run in your sophomore year.
Yes,
So I'm going to
sir.
skip over Notre Dame for a minute because we're going to
Yeah.
get back to that.
Yeah.
Jim and I are going to come back to that, to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Talk about how you got into coaching.
Man, coaching was honestly, man, it was kind of like a natural thing in my opinion, but it wasn't in my vision, I guess.
Yeah.
I always had, especially when I got into college, Coach Bray always kind of reminded me, man, you're going to be an amazing coach for someday. You're going to be an amazing coach. I didn't know if he was hinting oh, man, you're going to be a terrible player. I didn't know what he was talking about. But being a point guard, man, I always, in high school and in college, I always wanted to, I always was a leader. I always, understood where everybody else was supposed to be. When guys make mistakes, I can kind of help them out, or I can always adjust. When guys did make mistakes and hung their head, I was always kind of like the uplifting guy on the court. So coach never really had to coach. He did most of his coaching in practice, but then when he got on the court in games, he rarely had to say anything. He could just send the message through me and it was good. So, but I never, like I said, he always, hinted at that, and I started to think about it. It just, being a point guard, you're like that quarterback. It's that natural ability to lead and understand where guys are always supposed to be, being that floor general. It just became it kind of transitioned into that. And then after I stopped playing in college and stuff like that, I was trying to figure out things, trying to figure out where I wanted to be. I had went through a stage where, I went to the G League and did some things, but I was trying to figure out, and I just always could remember how I enjoyed training kids in the off season, working out with everybody, uplifting. I always had this natural ability to connect with the younger kids or connect with anybody, older or younger, and just help them see the good in themselves. And then find out, what triggered them to kind of help them, get over that hump and improve their game. And one thing led to another, man. Buena Vista was getting ready to shut down, and they were looking for somebody to take over, to coach in that situation before the school shut down. And I was like, shoot, why not? I was back in the area. I had stopped playing basketball. My mom had just passed away in 2010. And I was going through a depression type of mode, and just trying to find myself. And I knew, coaching, I found a little bit, some peace and some kind of joy and some happiness in it. I enjoy playing, but I'm like, man, I enjoy seeing others learn and achieve goals that they set for themselves, but they thought maybe they couldn't reach those goals. So when I would help them and see a smile on their face, man, during training or whatever it was, I'm like, man, I kind of like this coaching thing. And took the BV job to see what was going to happen before the school closed. The kids kind of knew the school was going to close, but I'm like, man, if we win, man, they may make some money.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, they may win some money and keep the school open. So I'm thinking I'm just thinking of anything, just being positive to try to keep the school open because of how much I love Buena Vista. So we ended up going in that team with a bunch of guys who had some talent, but just didn't understand how to play the game. And my job in that situation was just to kind of show them how to play basketball, how to use their talent, understand what they have, but play basketball the right way instead of playing street ball, playing it the right way. And We ended up making a regional finals run with that group. So,
Wow.
I
And then
was
you're
like,
addicted at that point. You're addicted now,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, now you're in it.
Now
yeah,
you're in it.
yeah. Now I'm in it, and
You
just
haven't
like
had the first,
as a
you haven't had your first parent curse you out yet, so you're still enjoying it. Yeah.
Hey, during that season, though, no lie, during that season, man, it was so much stuff that had happened, man. It was the season they had to put the season on pause for a second. I remember having a situation where some of the kids' grades weren't right, and I'm like, no, we not playing today. Coach Carter type stuff. I'm like,
Yeah,
oh
yeah.
man, like it was just
Yeah.
a crazy situation, man. So, but
So you
it
go
all
from
benefited.
there, and you take the job at John Glenn, and then ultimately at Grand Blanc, where you take the team to the Final Four, lose
Yeah.
at the buzzer to Cass Tech, the eventual state champion.
Had to say that, right?
Yeah.
But then you land at Detroit Catholic Central. So what
Yeah.
about CC? You know, I've known the people, specifically
Yeah.
Aaron at CC, for a long time and have a lot of admiration. What about CC drew you to that job?
Different, man. It was
Shamrock?
Yeah. It was legit, like no lie, Jim. Like no lie. It was like a miniature version of Notre Dame.
Mhm.
I remember going and once they started to do the interview process and everything like that, it was hard to leave Grand Blanc. I enjoyed the kids and the families. I was around a lot through AAU. Like I know some of their families coming up. Like Grand Blanc always is one of the biggest schools in the state. They were always going to get talent anyway. So that was a tough, situation to leave. It was like something about, being at, Detroit Catholic Central. And my mom would like kind of lay the foundation for like her, faith and everything like that. So I know I'm just connecting with my wife. We were looking for a certain situation. We were going through a rough time at Grand Blanc financially. We was just dealing with a lot of different things. And when Aaron kind of came about and reached out, it was just something about him. Like he was just genuine. Dude was really open, honest, could connect. He was real, man. And when he first reached out, I'm like, I don't know. Like now I figured out because a lot of people started to reach out and, wondered it's a different situation. I'm the sixth coach in that 100-year history.
That they've ever had.
Yeah. So it's a different situation. Not only being, the sixth coach, I'm the first, black head coach in that situation. So there was a lot that went into that. People questioning me, reaching out, is that the right choice and stuff like that if I make that choice. So I ended up going down, taking a visit. And once we started the interview process, they took me my wife and I around campus. I'm like, yo, this is a miniature version of Notre Dame. And
Yeah.
and Notre Dame was like my second home. I still go back and it's like family. So my wife and I, we were like, yo, this is a great feeling. We were looking for a spot like to kind of connect back with, faith and everything like that. We were fresh into our marriage, going through a rough patch. Both of us understanding how important faith is, especially when it comes to marriage and stuff like that. We wanted to do things the right way. We were looking for a church home. Just a lot of different things were, coming into question and stuff like that. And I'm like, let's try it. And once I got down there and started connecting with, Babbitt, met Father Kaufman, who passed away recently, and the principal that's there currently, Father Fulton. Those guys, they told me what they were looking for. I kind of fit the bill of what they were looking for. And it was like, all right, like, so that, we kind of did well. The interview kind of process took care of itself. I remember going through it. Bob Santello was also on the committee. He was hilarious throughout it all. I love Bob. Bob's one of my, he's so funny. Every time I see him, he's just such a cool dude. I had Coach Bray as a reference on my interview. On my resume.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah, not so, but he thought it was like a joke. He like you got Coach Bray. You think he'll call?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, he'll call. Like knowing Coach Bray, like that's like it's crazy how everything God. Like I talk about it, Jeremiah 29:11. I was just talking about this the other day on the podcast. Just God has a plan. He has his plans are to for us to prosper and not to harm us. He knew this whole plan. He knew I was gonna go to Notre Dame before I thought about it. I actually committed to Michigan, but situation kind of came about. I ended up decommitting. it was crazy how the whole Notre Dame thing came about, man. I had USC, Florida, so many schools when I wanted to go play that, that came in, and I could have committed there and played there, but
So
nobody
that's
thought Notre Dame.
yeah.
Yeah,
Let
that's a
me
good segue into Jim's
Good
next
segue,
question.
yeah, because as a lifelong Notre Dame fans, and Mike was
Yeah.
actually born in Indiana.
Wow.
Our
Yeah.
dad, got us hooked at for the Notre Dame football,
Yeah.
basketball, all the sports.
Yeah.
So during that process, your junior, senior year, what you started touching on, what got
Yeah.
you to Notre Dame? What was it?
Yeah. What got me to Notre Dame was, again, besides God knowing the plan, it was people in my circle during that time that kind of, I connected with. One of my he became my agent when I played professionally, but he was my AAU coach growing up. His name was Chris Greer. His name's Chris Greer Lucci. He does stuff with like NIL stuff. He's still a really good agent, but he's in the NIL business now. CGL Sports he's been around since like Sonny Vaccaro days. So Sonny Vaccaro was obviously the grassroots guy, and
Yeah, he was a pioneer.
he was one of Sonny Vaccaro's like close friends. So as I was going through my first offer came from Michigan State when I was a freshman. And then all the other offers started rolling in throughout, but I grew up a Michigan fan. So
Yeah.
Lamar Woodley being from Michigan was my host, kind of took me up, and I committed to Michigan. I was all good and set. And then
What year was that? When did you commit?
this would have been 2000, going into like
your
2004, 2005, going into
your
right
junior
before my
year?
yeah.
Yeah.
I was going in and I was committed. I was all good, and then we thought we were gonna stay there. And then Tommy Amaker at the time was there, and he started recruiting another guard from like the Chicago area. But he had kind of told me, much like some of the other coaches kind of told me, which was different. Like they all kind of told me like, you can come in, you can play right away. I'm like, all right, it sounds good. Like, all right, cool. But hearing it from Michigan, I'm down. I'm going. And my boy Lamar Willie, he's not gonna lie to me, so I'm good. But then he started to recruit another guard. So I'm like, oh man, me being immature, young, not thinking, man, they needed depth in that class. I'm thinking, no, he trying to get somebody to take my spot. So I'm like, nah, forget it. I'm decommitting. And talked to my AAU coach about it during that time. He thought it was a great idea. But then when we decommitted, Coach Bray was looking for a guard at the time. He was again he connected with Sonny Vaccaro. Coach Bray and Coach Sonny Vaccaro were close as well, so they reached out. He was looking for a guard. He connected with Chris Greer. Chris Greer kind of told me about the situation. I ended up, all my visits that happened in college, right? Like when they came up and did their home visit, everybody kind of gave the same speech. Coach Bray came up. We had Coach Bray, and like I grew up on the east side of Saginaw, which was kind of like a rough neighborhood. But then my sister lived on the south side of Saginaw, which is even crazier, right? We took Coach Bray over there with the family, and we had him in like in the hood of all on the hoodest part of Saginaw. It was crazy. But what made me kind of like fall in love with him and respect him in that moment, I remember like leaving, hearing his pitch. It was dope. It was different, but it was like, all right, like he said something different. He told my mom that, if we choose Notre Dame, it was going to be a 40-year decision instead of a 4-year decision. So that was different. And he never promised me a starting spot. He told me I can have a chance to earn it, but he's not promising a starting spot, which was something that was different and something I kind of loved because it was a challenge for me. And I was like, I know what I could do. I'm coming in. I'm going to get a spot. And like it was, a challenge for me. And but I was like, all right, cool. I ended up leaving after we finished. I ended up leaving the house, going with my friends, not thinking too much about it. But I'm like, man, I'm going to hang out with my friends. I come back a couple hours later, Coach Bray's still hanging out, eating chicken and like hanging with the family, eating the whole meal. I'm like, oh yeah, like, all right, this is real different.
One of 14, there might be another.
Somewhere.
I don't know about.
Yeah. Who else needs an offer?
Yeah.
I was like, yo, this is different. This is totally different. That really started to make me feel comfortable. So I'm like, all right, I'll take a late visit, see how it goes. The icing on the cake, even though they lost, I ended up like going to the game when USC played Notre Dame at Notre Dame, and Reggie Bush did the Reggie Bush push, right? To Matt Leinart. Before that game ended, before that game ended, it was like a couple seconds left. We stop him at the goal line. Everybody rushed the field. So I'm one of the students. We rushing the field, like thinking we good. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. And I'm out here with the fans. But they cleared everybody off the field and said they had time left. So they put some extra time on it. Reggie Bush obviously pushed Matt Leinart in the end zone. They ended up winning the game at the end. But I noticed like all the crowd was still there. Everybody was still there, still supportive. I think USC ended up winning the national championship that year. So it wasn't like it was a bad team, but it was like, yo, this was a crazy atmosphere. And that whole weekend was amazing. So I'm like, yo, I was like ready to commit right then and there. I'm like, no, I'm good. This is where I want to be. But Coach Brady did something even better. That same weekend, he was like, instead of committing, go home and, discuss things with your family before, you make this decision, which lets me know he cared.
Yeah.
And he thought, he did everything by the book, did everything the right way. And that's what made him so different. Like he was just so amazing, man. So that's how I kind of ended up at Notre Dame. Him, Coach Bray, my guy, Chris Greer-Lucci, Sonny Vaccaro, all these guys that are like legendary in my opinion. And God put all of these guys in my life at that moment. I had no idea this was going to happen. So,
and like you said, it turned out to be fantastic.
One of
What
the
a
best
career you
decisions.
had there,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I was looking at some of the stats, and even
Yeah.
when you're talking about high school,
Yeah.
you're kind of like the Cal Ripken of hoops. Did you miss a game anywhere in 8 years?
Never.
I don't think you, huh?
No,
You
never.
never did?
Never.
Holy
Not in high
cow.
school. Never missed a game in
missed
high
a game.
school. Never missed a game in college. I remember having it was one game that happened, and I'm like, yo, I may miss a game. I was kind of like spazzing out a little bit. We played against UConn. We ended up beating them, but towards the end of that game, I get poked in the eye by their big fella. His name was Hashim Thabit. He ended up going to the NBA. Yeah. So I ended up getting poked in the eye during the game, but I'm having a great game, finding guys, scoring. It's a CBS game. It's crazy. They rush me to the locker room. They see that I can barely open my eye, but they're like, well, shoot, if he can see out of one eye, we gotta try to play Coach Brady.
Yeah.
Like,
50%'s better than nothing. Yeah.
So I ended up coming back up. My dad came back in the locker room, asked me would I be willing to play, and I'm like, nah, I'm going back in for sure. I ended up going back in the game, finishing the game, ended up hitting some clutch free throws late. We win. And I'm like, man, it's crazy, right? But I'm noticing I got a headache, like a crazy headache.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, man. So after the game, we do a little, we go to the doctor. They tell me I got a scratch on my cornea abrasion. I had a cornea abrasion. It was like a scratch on my eye, but I had to sit out. So I'm like, oh, man, I'm going to have to miss some games. I'm sick about it. But they had some amazing doctors down there where and it just so happened to be at the right time where we were getting ready for a break during Christmas. So we had a couple days off. I was able to rest. And by that time, it was about a week or so that we had off. And I was able to come back right beforehand. So I had to spend, which I didn't mind. Coach Bray was amazing about all of that.
Did you hoop
too.
with glasses? That's all I need to know.
Oh no, that was the crazy. I was so happy not to. That's what I was afraid of, that I was gonna have to hoop with glasses. But I remember having to go to my room and kind of sleeping differently during that whole time. Just because if anything light or anything, it was bothering me. It was giving me a banging headache. But everything worked out.
You logged some minutes.
Yeah,
man. Kudos.
So
Kudos to you.
I'm going to get into your relationship with Coach Bray, but as coaches, we all have people who've had a really big impact on us, and not only as coaches, players, but just as people in general. It's been well known and well documented about your relationship with Coach Bray, and what he meant to you as a player. What has he meant to you as a person, and who are some of the other people along the way that you haven't mentioned yet?
Yeah, Coach Bray was like a second father, still a second father. One guy that I was really close to was my assistant coach. We'll talk about him. My assistant coach in high school. But Coach Bray, when I got to college, like, again, God put some people in my life, man, that I didn't know what the importance they were going to have in my life. But in those moments, when I was faced with adversity, I'm like, man, I understand now why he did this. And I remember going through just everything with Coach Bray as a player, losing a good friend of mine when my freshman year. A good friend of mine was murdered. A young lady that was really close to some of our friends. We all were like we kind of hung out. Our families hung out. She was murdered in a drive-by. So we come back. Coach Bray being an amazing coach, not thinking about the athletic Tory. He was thinking about the personal, the person that I am. And he was like, "No, bro, let's go out to eat." Took me out to eat, just to see how it was. Sent me home to the funeral and to be around the family. Um, I'm like, man, he genuinely cares about me as the person. So, that made me open up to him a lot more. And then again, we just became so close throughout that whole time. He's been like a when my mom died in 2010, shortly after I graduated, Coach Bray packed up the team and the president and those guys surprised me at the funeral. I had no idea they were coming. Like brought a busload of people, the SID lady, her name was Bernie Caffarelli. She was super close to me. She was our sports information director. This little short lady, I would always tease her. She would always crack jokes on me. We just would have so much fun. He was bringing all of those people up, knowing that they would uplift my spirit, my former teammates. He brought those guys up, surprised me during that time, and I'm like, yo, like life after basketball, like he was just that kind of dude, man. And he's so important. Even when I got into coaching, call and reach out to him for advice. How does he connect with guys? What made him so valuable in my life as a player and as a coach? He always reminded me, like don't worry about the kid as an athlete. Like they're gonna be coachable. As long as you got a kid that's coachable, they'll learn, they'll get better, they'll improve. Connect with the kid personally. That's something that I've learned so much about him was to actually like connect with the kid, get to know the kid, and that's something that was so important to me, man. And to this day, man, I remember he when they come in town, he now works for the Atlanta Hawks. When they come in town, my wife and I we take the kids out and we go watch the game. Even though we Detroit, we in Detroit now, we're supposed to represent Detroit.
Yeah.
That day we always
You're
cheering for the
Hawks
Hawks.
fans. Yeah.
Yeah. That day we always cheering for the Hawks. So he's super important in my life. Great mentor, and still to this day I always connect with. And then
Right.
my assistant high school coach, he just recently passed this year, Dwayne Ferris. Um, he showed me like certain moves I did in high school. I remember like I used a step back move and a spin move very, very often. Anybody that played against me or played against me now, like they know I like to use a step back move. And he taught me how to like the value of like the retreat step. And when guys are applying pressure full court, just attacking a guy and then being able to stop on a dime and retreat and then changing directions. He was so good at that. And I remember just how valuable he coached my older sister Kim in high school. But he also was assistant coach of the '89 team that won it at BV. He was the assistant coach of the '90s team that had Terrence Robinson and all those guys. So he's been around for a long time. He was a high school coach. He was assistant coach. He was the head coach and assistant coach. But he always was like, what his biggest thing was doing for the community. He taught me how to look out for the community and give back and love those who poured into you and helped shape your life. So he was so huge. And when he passed away, I was crushed. I was crushed a little bit, man. And I know God, he lived a really good life, man. He was a great dude. But I was crushed, man, just because I know how valuable he was. I would talk. He would come to my games at Grand Blanc. He would drive down to CC. I remember going back, taking CC every year, the last 2 years now, this year and last year too. We always play Saginaw United. And so I can get closer to him and he can get a chance to see the team that we play against. So we'll play in the first beginning of the game. That's the only game I may have my phone in my pocket because I know he's going to give me some advice during half.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the only game. Yeah, that's the only game. So just not having him, man, it crushed me a little bit. But I know just having those guys, the style of what they taught me, I'm gonna make sure I keep those guys going.
Yeah, and it's refreshing for me, in today's we talked to a lot of college coaches today that are
Yeah.
like, it's really transactional, right, in
Yes.
today's college landscape. That
Yeah.
relationship building. We had Phil Martelli on as one of our first guests, and
Yeah.
like Coach Bray, it was all about his relationship building,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
I was
Special.
given advice as a young coach that I've kinda always held on to,
Yeah.
and it was, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care,
There you
right?
go.
And to have people in your corner like that, especially as a young coach that you can
Yeah.
lean on, and that,
Yeah.
obviously I'm sure Mike Bray is a big CC basketball fan.
Yeah,
You're not just an Atlanta Hawks fan. He's a CC fan. So
yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Yeah.
He actually got he connected us with Christian Leitner, who's coming
I
in a
saw
couple
that.
weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he coached Christian Leitner. He was the assistant coach at Duke
At
during
Duke.
the
Yeah.
90s.
Yeah.
And Christian Leitner would always, connect with them, stay connected with those guys. So he ended up creating a relationship. It was so funny too, man, because later on when I ended up going to the Fort Wayne Mad Ants and playing for them, Christian Leitner ended up being my assistant coach at
Really?
Fort Wayne. Yeah. So full circle, man. It was just we always stayed connected through. He would always check in with Coach Bray when we was in college, but once I got there, Coach Bray kind of made that connection again. We reconnected, and Christian Leitner has been like a cool dude I can connect with as
Yeah.
well. So just talking hoops with them.
Yeah. And another example of what this beautiful game does, not just for
Oh,
players
man.
and coaches,
right?
but for coaches and coaches,
Coaches and coaches and officials. What about?
Yeah,
Hey,
maybe.
that's why I'm doing it for relationships too, right?
That's it, Jim.
It
For real.
is. It is.
It's some officials in the game that I've had back then that officiated some of my games that I see still to this day or been around, and I just admire what they do and how you guys do it. Y'all deal with a lot. Y'all deal with a lot from crazy.
It's a good
segue
transition.
again.
Man.
Another great segue. This is not your first rodeo, is it? I know.
Yeah.
I want to talk about officiating.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that the Central Division, the Central League, and the Catholic League is probably the toughest in the state. And I think every team that you go against every night has multiple Division I players, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
It's a physical game in your league each night. I think it's a very exciting game. It's I enjoy refereeing those games, right?
Yeah.
I get a lot out of it mentally and physically.
Yeah.
It challenges me both ways. So, with regards to the officiating, I guess, how has it changed, or what qualities do you think make a good official?
Yeah.
And how has your perspective, do you think, changed from your playing days at the highest level to now coaching at the high school level to what makes a good official?
Yeah. I always had this unique style to kind of just connect with officials, whether they made a bad call or not. The sportsmanship award I won at Notre Dame, the officials kind of are the ones that kind of help vote on that. And the reason why I was able to connect with those guys, I would know who they are personally, connect with them, know their name, and even when they made a bad call, I'll ask. If they made a bad call, man, I might have saw something different, but I'll pat them on the butt. Good job, baby. Don't worry about it. Next one. It's a hard game to officiate, like you said. Our league is tough. I know that they're human beings. They're gonna make mistakes. You know what I'm saying? I can't take that personal, and I remind our guys, the same thing. Like you can't. The officials, they got to do their job. They're human. They're gonna make mistakes, but at the end of the day, take care of what you can control what you can control. That's what we kind of focus on. Don't worry about the officials. You can get to know them, ask them questions. And that's what I do in the league now. When things happen, it's a bad call, I can't go yelling at an official. I love officials who are willing to, when that time happens during a free throw situation or whatever, who may come over and take that time to kind of explain to me that call that they missed or what they saw. Yeah, and when they get to do when they do that and they explain it, whether I agree with it or not, I love that. I'll let them know in a heartbeat, man. I appreciate you for letting me know. And I may not agree with it, but I just appreciate them taking the time to come over instead of having this kind of like power trip. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's nothing worse than that. Just communicate
some
with
guys,
us, right? Yeah, just communicate with us.
Yeah. And when they take that time to communicate, I think that's amazing. There are some times when I feel like they may ignore us because they don't want to hear it, or they may think that we're trying to get down on them. I just like to get an explanation so I can explain that to our kids so we can adjust.
That makes sense. Yep. I agree.
So
this is going to pain me
and
to
the
say.
Decent ones will do that.
This is going to pain me to say, but I think that's what makes Jim a good official.
Yeah.
That he coached for a very long time. He understands what coaches are putting into it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? The amount of time
and
everything. And he's always willing to hear coaches out.
Oh, that's amazing. Jim, you're
I'm
going to be
just not fortunate
Thank
to get
you.
him officiate any of my games. So
You wouldn't get a call.
He wouldn't hear me out anyways.
He probably wouldn't even hear you.
Yeah, he wouldn't hear me out anyways.
He will never hear you out. Yeah.
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 In one of our scrimmages a couple of years ago,
Yeah.
and he walked out with the opposing team's warm-up shirt on, and I'm like, man.
That's petty, man.
Yeah.
Jim, you're hilarious for that one,
I didn't
man.
want anybody to think he was getting special treatment.
Yeah.
That's brother,
it,
but hey.
Let him know. Let him know.
Yep.
No,
Yep.
that's dope.
Well, thank you for that. And those are good characteristics for anybody
Yes,
listening,
sir.
for an official, the young officials coming up, because they're
Yeah.
hard to come by, right? Just try to understand what the coaches do, throughout the week to get ready for the game night. We prepare, but they prepare 7 days a week.
Yeah.
So if anybody's young official is listening.
Most definitely.
So we had your athletic director, Aaron Babbitt's, on a while ago. Aaron remains, and probably will remain for the history of this podcast, as the only person who's ever been cut from freshman basketball. So shout out to Aaron. God had different plans for him too.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
We talk a lot about the culture at CC. Aaron and I have often been very aligned in what we want to do in our faith and leadership and servant leadership.
Yeah.
You've talked a little bit about it. How has your faith in the Lord and your relationship with Jesus helped shape you as a leader of the young men that you're entrusted with at CC?
Man, since I've been there, man, I think, again, God works in mysterious ways. I couldn't see I would see certain things coming up about Detroit Catholic Central. They were always ranked. Football was very dominant. But as a young kid, I didn't expect myself to be here. It was a school that, back then wasn't very diverse, as people would say. But what they've done lately, man, to kind of kill that stigma, to be honest with you, that stereotype that people kind of create. To me, I think people create that, because they have nothing else to say against, how great they are. Like, we got to figure out a way to tear them down in some kind of way.
Yeah, today's society is all about how can we bring them down, right?
How can we bring them down, man?
Yeah.
And outside looking in, it can look different, but when you get in there, you're like, yo, I see what makes this place special. I see the people make this place special. Everybody's so caring, so loving. They want to help uplift everybody. And the one thing that I really love is, from the top to the bottom, the students especially, they are bold about their faith. They're bold about loving God. They're bold about following Christ. And that reminded me of how I was raised. My mom was a lady who was bold about God. No matter what, any kid, any adult that walked across her, they knew if they said anything foul, they were begging, they getting down. No, I'm sorry, Mrs. Jackson. I'm sorry, Mrs. Jackson. Like, because they knew she was a God-fearing woman, and you're not going to disrespect her. Like, it was just something about that. But they also knew in times of need and prayer, they knew she was going to be the one. They felt like God was working through her, man. She was so blessed, man. And she kind of instilled that in us as as children. But obviously, as children, we make mistakes. We stray away from God. And but I felt like her prayers never went in vain. I think for her, one of her prayers were to see all of her children saved someday and following God and having a personal relationship with God. And when I got here to CC, again, I felt like this was a match made in heaven. I also felt like God knew what was going to happen. He made that happen at this timing. You know what I'm saying? It might not have been on my time and that I was going to follow him again. It happened on his time. And I had to go through some rough patches again with my marriage, with my wife. He connected me with the woman who was patient, but he also connected me with the woman who also loved God. And her parents raised her that way. And when she strayed away, things like that, it was amazing. But having her in my corner, her reminded me during that time of no matter what, man, we gotta reconnect with God. Coming here to CC, it like created that moment. Like, all right, now is the time. After the first year, we had just found a church, and the church is it's called Brightmoor Christian. And I was like, man, we just gotta reconnect. She kept reminding me about, we gotta reconnect. God done so much for us. It's time for us to, reconnect with God. And I'm being honest with you, man. I probably would have lost my wife, lost my family, had I not reconnected with God. And since then, God has transformed. Like, just following Christ and believing in him, man, it's transformed my mind, transformed my thoughts, my choices. It's made me a better coach. Although I was a guy that, again, I still had that that coaching, that feeling as a coach to, relate to kids and connect with kids. But now as a coach, following God, it was a reminder, like, it's not about me. You know what I'm saying? I always thought about it was about me, and it was never about me. As a player, it was never about me. As a coach, it was never about me. He entrusted me with the gift. He entrusted me with the opportunity to coach these kids, but it's for his glory. Teach them the right way. Teach them how to, play this game, but glorify him in the midst of it. And these kids here at CC, man, like, they're so bold and following God, man, and it kind of like motivated me to do what I know, what my foundation was. So I made my coach's office like my prayer closet. People didn't even know I'll be in there. They might have thought I was in there asleep half the time in the morning to come in. But I start my day off, I'll go in, sneak in there, turn my light off, and I'll spend some time. Over the last year, I'll go in and started, spending some time. It was a adverse moment. I remember in January of this past year, during the season, I remember going through a dark time, and we were going through a losing streak. I just remember just fasting, going to my room, coming home, and just kind of crying on my bed and praying, God, like, if I'm supposed to be here, like, please show me a sign. And the next day, one of our best players transfers. I'm like, nah, God, this ain't the sign I'm looking for. I'm like, this ain't the sign I'm looking for. But, in that moment, he takes you through those moments to see if, your faith, to build your faith, to strengthen your faith. And in that moment, that's when I'm like, man, I had like a personal experience with God. And since then, January 10th, I'll never forget it. January 10th, January 11th, we played the next day. We played on a Friday, we get smacked. On that Saturday, that Saturday morning, the kid transfers. That Saturday afternoon, we playing a very tough team that has tough guards. So I'm throwing a young tough guard in, but in the midst of it, I'm trusting God. And the kids don't know. I'm not like showing it on my face, but I'm smiling through it all. And in the midst of it, man, I just remember at the end of that day, we ended up coming out with an amazing win. And I'm like, man, like, it all made sense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It all made sense. Like, I asked him, I remember going in there and just praying, like, God, if I'm supposed to be here, like, find us a way to win. Like, I was in desperation mode. I felt like that's when he hears you the most. When you're,
Kudos.
He hasn't heard me yet. I've asked for a 6'9" left-handed kid.
we got
kudos to you
together on that one, Mike.
You might have to do
Group prayer.
burn some incense or
Yeah.
something. But back to kudos to you for sharing that story, and this is to Mike too. There's nothing that says you can't, as you say, be bold in your faith and be a fierce competitor.
Yeah,
right. Exactly. They can go hand in
hand.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes,
so,
and I think
kudos to you both. It's not,
Jim, you
can't
know
be
this,
afraid to compete.
Yeah.
Jim, you know this, having coached, in the Catholic League before me, Tory and I in the Catholic League. I think that's the beauty of being at a faith-based school and faith-based education is you don't have to hide from who you are and what
really
your beliefs
don't.
are and what your faith is, right?
Yeah,
like,
man.
it can be front and center for everybody to see.
Yes.
And the other thing that kind of struck me with your story, Tory, is I'm of the belief I got married later in life. I have young kids, and when you're young, our parents were similar in the way you're explaining your parents, right? It was church. It was your faith. When you're growing up, your faith is your parents. They have ownership. They have ownership in it, right? Like, as you become an adult and as you go through things and as you see Christ work, and then you have kids of your own, then you come back to it, right? And it becomes your faith, right? Like, I'm not going to lie, in the way that as a young adult, I strayed away from my faith. And then you come back to it. And the fact that we get to work at institutions where we can profess that and talk about that on a daily basis, I think is wonderful. It's a blessing.
It's amazing. For real.
Kudos to you guys.
Yes, sir.
So we all have some what we consider to be non-negotiables in our programs. Things we're just not going to budge on, right? That we believe are our core values that help the student athletes that we coach. What are some of your core values for CC basketball?
Defend and play the right way. If you can defend, you can get on the court for us. If you play the right way offensively, you're not settling for a heavily contested shot. You're taking great over good. So defend and play the right way. But we before we even get on the court, man, we value a kid who is doing what he's supposed to do, following God, doing what he's supposed to do on the court, off the court, in the classroom. If you can, and we got a bunch of great kids, man. I've coached at other places. I remember having kids, chasing kids, man. They got to get in class, do what they do.
Yeah.
I'm at a school where my kids may get upset because they got an A-. He still got a 4.0. I'm like, hold on, man. Like,
yeah.
So I'm like, it's different. So that stress of not necessarily like the education part, because they value that just as much as
and they're as competitive in the classroom as they are on the court, right?
Oh, no doubt. We have some amazing parents, especially this group that we have coming up. Some amazing parents, man. But as long as they're taking care of the stuff off the court. On the court, the thing that we value, man, you got to defend. You got to defend. You got to be willing to defend. And then you got to play the right way. We always remind those guys, too, to control the things you can control. You control your effort, your energy, and your communication. Control those things. You can't control a made shot. You can't control a missed shot.
You can't control Jim's bad call.
You can't call. You can't. You can't.
It's coming. I guarantee you. It's going to be there.
No doubt, man. So just control this and having fun with this thing at the end of the day, man. This isn't who you are. Basketball isn't who you are. It's not your identity, man. Just kind of reminding those guys that just it's a blessing. God bless these guys with a talent, a gift. Every day they step on the floor, make sure they use that gift to honor him. So that's what we're about.
And from afar, having seen you and got to know you, like your pride in your program, I think rubs off on your team. And rubs off on the kids that you coach, the pride they have in CC, the pride that you have in CC for every athlete, right? Whether it's football, soccer, I see all the stuff you're promoting, and it's
cross country.
Kids know that, right? They appreciate that. Yeah. So before Jim gets into his last question of the night, I want to go back and ask, since you told us how many siblings you had. You're one of 14, 13 or 14?
One of 14, yes.
Who's the best?
That's a great question. For me, I'm going to say me, but my brother Sean.
I know who the best is in my fammy, but
no doubt.
Yeah. I'm asking you, not me. I already know my answer.
Yeah. So it's man, no lie, Mike. I had a sister, like I said, my sister Kim was amazing. A lot of my families too. And I do this in coaching. I took a lot of what I played against. It was like Thanos. Once I beat them, I put that ring on, right?
Yeah.
I took a lot of their game and implemented it into mine. And my sister Kim, man, she had the post-up game, even as a smaller guard. She was only 5'8", 5'9", but she was a stocky guard. So she could post you up, she could shoot the three, she could drive and dish, she could break you down, she could do everything, but she was small and feared. Like, she was so fearless. Like, so it was like something about her was so tough. And she was kind of like the last person I needed to beat. She was like my Cooper, like the final boss. Yeah. So once I was able to beat her, I think she was the best for a while until I was able to beat her. So
I feel that pain.
It took him a while. It took him a while, but he did.
Jim is significantly older than me. Jim is significantly older than me. He's the oldest. I'm the youngest, so he had the height advantage.
He
always had that bullshit, slow, fadeaway Larry Bird off the backboard thing that I could never contest.
Tough to stop.
Don't fix it. Yeah. Let's circle back to your league and and what's coming up, because we're close, right? We're coming out. We're getting close to it. I'm excited for it too.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Looks again, your league looks like it's going to be a very competitive night or evening every time you lace them up, right? Because those teams have really stacked with some talent.
Great talent. Yeah.
What are your expectations for the Shamrocks?
I'm excited, man. I'm excited. This is year 3. This group, and we've been blessed. Like last year, like I said, we kind of threw a lot of we had a lot of older guys last year, but we had some talented young guys last year as well. So we kind of threw those guys in the fire early, especially our point guard. Kind of threw those guys in the fire early. They got better. By the time we ended the season, we went on a nice run, made it to the regional finals with a young group, bunch of sophomores. This year we returned, so now we would have about 10 juniors now that all would have played, and we have 2 seniors. And those 2 seniors are like transfer seniors. They came in as sophomore, end of sophomore year, beginning of junior year. One of the seniors is an all-league guy. And another kid may get an opportunity this year because of how much he's improved his body and his confidence scoring. So we have a very, very deep team this year, and I'm excited about this group. Particularly excited about our junior class, to be honest with you, man, because we have some guys in that junior class that are special, man. They transform their bodies. I tell one of the kids, man, my boy Whitesell, you still at one. He keeps claiming he's 170, but I think he's about 150, 160. So, but him and Andrew Walker have really improved their game. Andrew Walker recently receiving a few Division I offers recently. Whitesell having his first college offer this summer with this offseason with Saginaw Valley, and a ton of teams are now interested in them. Took a visit to Central Michigan. Both of those guys kind of, set the tone for that group as well. And then we have a bunch of really, really good role players, man, that understand what they are, who they are. They can score, they can create. Isaiah McCree coming in from Grand Blanc this year will be his first year. He can play, very good shooter. Malachi, a returning starting guard, Malachi Clayton was thrown in the fire last year. And he really saw himself come on late, especially playing against UAD and Leroy Blyden, who I thought was probably the best guard in our division outside of Trey. Leroy was a bucket getter, and at that position, I saw Malachi a few games. We played UAD 3 times last year, and each time Malachi would go after him. He would get 18 to 20 points. I've never seen anybody go at Leroy like that. So that gave Malachi a certain kind of confidence, and we got a couple other guys that comes off the bench. Ethan Jonah, who's going to be great for us, great role player. We have a kid who's a freak of nature, man, he's playing football. His name is Gideon Gash.
Woo! That kid is good.
Yeah, Gideon
on the football field. I mean, he's really
on
good.
the football field. He's good. The brother Samson Gash is a beast.
Yeah,
he's the receiver. Gideon is only a junior. He's going to right now. He's an All-American. I think an All-State first team for lacrosse. He's going to be a first team All-State division back for football this year. 5-star football kid, Alabama, Michigan, all those guys are after him right now. And then for basketball, man, he was one of our best two-way players, man. Great. By the time by the midway season, he started for us the rest of the way. Great on-ball defender, but again, freak athlete. By the time he was getting to the end of the season, he was getting 18 to 20 points. So, just a natural born scorer, natural born player, just a crazy athlete from a crazy athletic family.
Yeah.
And then we got some other guys who have came in and really improved their game. Lyndon Boya, who is playing football right now, but he's improved his game a ton, man. So Evan Milosevic, we're healthier this year. We're healthier, we're deeper. So I'm excited about this group. I can't lie. I don't. There's again, God controls everything. He has his outcome.
Yeah. Expectations for us don't win games, right?
We have high expectations for this group.
Awesome. Well, Tory, this has been an awesome episode to get to chat with you. I appreciate you taking the time to come on with Jim and I. I wish you the best of luck this winter with the Shamrocks. I know you're going to have your hands full that one night in January that Jim's reffing your game. It'll be it'll be playing against.
I don't know if it is or not. He's just saying it.
It'll feel like playing against 6.
You're going to be for every time before every official walks out. You're going to be shit.
Look at
I don't know if I got you or not.
That'd be good either way.
But we wish you a ton of luck. We appreciate you coming on. Hopefully we can check up mid-season and see how things are going for the Shamrocks. But been a fan of yours as a player from your days back at Buena Vista and then Notre Dame, but also getting to know you as a coach in the Catholic League. So
Coach,
I appreciate you, man.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Good spending some time with you. Thank you. And good luck to you, you and the Shamrocks.
Thank you. Appreciate you, guys.
Well, Jim, episode 17 is done with Tory Jackson, head coach at CC and former all-everything at Notre Dame.
All everything. I was joking about the Cal Ripken thing, but man, he would talk about logging a lot of minutes in high school and college. And also the other takeaway I got for any young kids that are listening, he played 3 sports in high school.
Yeah.
He's not we've talked to a lot of guys that
they value that
on here,
when they're
that value different sports. Yeah. He played 3 sports.
Yeah, and his high school and college career was phenomenal. That you and I, followed closely both in high school and in college. And to see it translate for him into a job like Detroit Catholic Central, I'm excited to see what he'll do there. So for Jim McAndrews, my name is Mike McAndrews, and we want to thank you for joining, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you. See ya.
We want to clean in the paint. We're going to call hand checking and body checking, and sportsmanship is an absolute must, okay?
He lets it fly.